To the logo on my chest and tell them, slam me, ego, slam me, ego, slam me, ego, slam me, hey. Hit it up hard, hit him with a strike. From the national anthem to the bottom of the night. I'm in slam me, ego, slam me, ego, slam me, ego, slam me, hey. You already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. We should know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 342 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden here with you. Let me change the overlay here real quick. Sorry about that. I'm jumping on here. Still had yesterday's episode up there. All right, here we go. Episode 342, Talking Friars. Manny Machado, according to Bob Nightengale out of the USA Today, that was earlier this morning. Manny Machado wants $400 million from the San Diego Padres. We learned yesterday from Kevin Acee, reportedly, that the Padres are offering 10 years, $255 essentially to Manny. Manny wants 10 years, $400. So that's a $145 million gap there between the two sides. Not great. Look, I said yesterday I was surprised by the low ball for the Padres. I'm not surprised by Manny asking for 400. I don't think that the Padres are just going to sit here right now and say, here's $400 million, Manny. There you go. I don't think they're going to do that. Yesterday, we learned that Manny Machado already set the deadline for February 16th, which was on Thursday. And that deadline it's come and gone. So if the Padres go offer him 350, is he going to say no because I want 400, or say no because the deadline I set was February 16th? Like, what's going to happen there? I'm interested in seeing what happens there. So I'm going to get your comments, obviously. This might be a shorter episode than yesterday because there's just not as much to go over. Like, it was a short little thing. Like, I don't know what's with Bob Nightengale here, but in the Sunday note things that he writes, the Sunday note columns or whatever that he writes here for USA Today, he like buries the biggest story in it. Like, he writes this feature because what was the tidbit? It was about Ohtani, I think, a few weeks ago. Something about Ohtani, like the Padres are going to be all in on Ohtani. And he buried it all the way like 1,000 words into his article. And it's like, that's the lead. And in this article that he writes today, his lead, his headline, the title of his article today, Nightengale's Notebook, 111-win Dodgers in uncharted territory after unusually quiet winter. That's the headline. Should that be the headline, or should the headline be about Manny Machado and the Padres being $145 million off in extension talks? So you scroll all the way down to his around the base paths, and he says, just how far apart are all-star third baseman Manny Machado and the San Diego Padres in their contract extension talks? Would you believe a whopping $145 million? Yes, really. The Padres offered Machado a 5-year, $105 million extension this week, which is what Kevin Acee reported yesterday. The contract would begin in 2029, keeping his original 10-year, $300 million deal intact. So, like I said yesterday, 5 years, 150, and then in 2029, it would be 5 years, 105. So 10 years, 255 would be the 10-year deal, essentially. Machado has 5 years, 150 remaining after this season. Machado is countering with a 10-year, $400 million extension that would begin in 2024, opting out of his original contract after this season. That would take him to the age of 41, the same age the Padres are paying shortstop Xander Bogaerts and the Philadelphia Phillies are giving shortstop Trey Turner in their new deals. If the Padres don't pay it, well, don't think for a second that someone like the New York Mets or Yankees or San Francisco Giants or the Chicago Cubs will hesitate. Manny said this week, there's a lot of money out there, a lot of money. These owners are making a lot of money, and we're bringing a lot of money too. We're having a good time filling up the seats. It's about business. These are things that happen. The market has changed from when I signed 5 years ago. It's changed tremendously. Things change and evolve. And as a player, a player that's about to opt out, it's pretty good to see. So, yeah, let's go over the timeline again. So, it seems like Tuesday, the Padres offered that 10-year, $255 million extension essentially to Manny. And then Thursday was the deadline. And so they cut off talks then. And then he speaks to the media on Friday saying that he's going to opt out at the end of the year. The Padres know where we stand, which is $400 million. And then yesterday, Kevin Acee comes out saying the news or saying that the deadline was on Thursday. By the way, Kevin Acee, he's been saying in the weeks leading up to this that they're far apart. Like, there's not much optimism right now. And if this is true, I mean, there's $145 million in between what the two sides are asking. Then yeah, it's not. I can see why there's not optimism there. So Saturday, AC talks to Manny. Manny confirms about the deadline and all that. He doesn't confirm the money, what the Padres' offer was, but he smiled when AC asked Manny about that, and then said, "I don't know where you get this," essentially. And then Nightengale today comes out and says $400 million is what Manny is countering with. $145 million is how far the two sides are apart. Is it okay for both sides to be a little bit in the wrong? I think Manny definitely has his right to be asking for 400, and it is kind of the Padres' fault that Manny is asking for 400 because they were willing to give Aaron Judge over $400 million this offseason. And Manny is almost as good of a player in the last like 6 years as Judge has been, and he stays on the field more than Judge does, right? So, like, Manny can sit there and say, "Hey, you were willing to give me $400 million. Or excuse me, you were willing to give Judge 400 million. You should give me 400." Like, he can sit there and say that. Judge hasn't played one game in the Padres uniform yet. And you were willing to give him, and he's not going to, but you were willing to give him over $400 million. I'm the captain of this team. I'm the best player on this team. I carried the team last year. I should have won MVP. I think you should be willing to give me over $400 million, right? That's $400 million that you didn't spend on Judge. You're willing to give Xander 280. I'm worth way more than 280. And your best extension is 255. If Manny truly cares about like winning, I think he's smart enough to know that, especially with the way the Padres have operated, that it's going to be lower AAV. Like, the Padres, they want to keep the AAV as low as they can. Now, superstar players, I know that the AAV is going to be higher than others, but they want to control that as much as they can so they don't have to be forfeiting money, forfeiting draft picks, right? So I think he knows that $40 million a year, that's not going to work. The Padres, I don't think they're doing that. Now, if you want to go not 10 years, 400, if you want to go like 13 years, 400 million, and the AAV is a little under 31 million instead of 40, probably that's more doable for the Padres. But they're $145 million apart. Like, I think it's reasonable for Manny to come down from the $400 million asking price, and for the Padres to come up from their 255. Like, I'm not even saying meet in the middle. I'm saying the Padres go more towards Manny, but Manny also come down from where he's asking from. Right? Because if they met in the middle, right? If they're $145 million apart, 145 divided by 2, 72.5 million, right? So 400 minus 72.5 million, 327.5 million would be meeting in the middle. I'm not even asking for that. I think Manny, it's fine for Manny to get more than that. I mean, the Padres were willing to give Trey Turner 340 over 340. They were willing to give Aaron Judge over 400 million. The number that came out, I think, was 414 million. So what I've been saying all along is like 12 years, or at least recently, 12 years, $350 million. I think that's a reasonable deal. And the AAV on that is what's the AAV on that? 350. AAV on that is below 30 million a year. Padres want the AAV as low as they can, and Manny still gets more than what Rafael Devers got in his contract, right? What did he get? 331, I think. He gets, I mean, he gets more than Trey Turner, obviously. He gets more than what the Padres were willing to give Trey Turner. Okay, maybe Manny's gonna sit there and be like 360. Match Judge, or be better than Judge, 370. But if he's willing to come down from 400 to 370, 360, maybe 350 and spread the years out, like, I think that's where you could see a deal get done. I'm not like mad at Manny for asking for 400, but I think that's too much. I'm not giving Manny $400 million over 10 years. I'd think about it more if it was 400 over 12 or 13, but $40 million a year. I mean, I think Manny's smart enough to know, like, if you want to build the best team around you to win consistently, it's got to be less than $400 million over 10 years. Like, the AAV's got to be lower than $40 million a year. If you want Seidler to be able to pay money for other stars to be around you, because let's say Manny's taking up 40 million, and then Tatis is that 20 mil? What is his? 20, I think, a year. So that's 60. Musgrove is another 20. That's 80. And do you want to extend Soto still? What will that be? Is that another 40? You know, and the Darvish extension and Suarez, like, that's a lot of money for a small part of the roster, right? So again, the Padres at 255, Manny at 400, according to reports, $145 million apart. Not great right now, and especially if, you know, knowing that it's $145 million apart, it doesn't make me confident that a deal is going to get done before Manny like goes to the WBC or anything like that. These numbers could be wrong, but we know that the deadline's passed. We know that it was one offer that the Padres offered, and now there's two reporters that are saying that the Padres offered essentially 255, and Nightengale's now reporting Padres, um, they're nowhere near the asking price of where Manny wants. Far apart. Let me see what you guys are thinking here in the comments. I mean, at this point, right? Like, okay, let's say Manny is, you know, he is very, very strict on the $400 million asking price, and he wants 400. That's it. Do we now turn our attention to Juan Soto? Like, I see a lot of people on social media, they're like, well, greedy Manny. Let's go turn our focus to Soto. Let Manny walk. Let's turn our focus to Soto. Or let's go get Ohtani. You know, it's not a guarantee that the Padres are going to sign Shohei Ohtani. It's not a guarantee that Juan Soto will sign the extension that the Padres offer. It's not a guarantee that Juan Soto will come back in free agency. Because once he gets out there in free agency, that brings the Mets and the Giants and the Cubs and the Yankees, you know, and a bunch of other teams into the picture, right? That might be willing to give Soto a boatload of money, right? So those aren't guarantees. And Manny's not a guarantee either, obviously. But Manny's the first one up. And like I said yesterday, I think it's important for the Padres long term here to have 3 stars, like a big core 3, right? Um, you have Bogarts, you have Tatis, and get one of Ohtani, Soto, and Manny. If that happens and you can't get the other 2, I don't think it's the end of the world, you know? Like, the Padres, that's fine. I want 2 out of 3, but if they don't, it's not the end of the world. But if Manny's asking for just getting back to the Soto Ohtani thing, like, let Manny walk, like some people are saying. Okay, well, if Manny wants 400, and let's say there's another team that's gonna give him 400, Bob Nightingale's saying it here, um, if the Padres don't pay it, well, don't think for a second that someone like the Mets or Yankees or Giants or Cubs will hesitate. Someone's gonna pay Manny that $400 million in free agency. I think the Mets are a candidate that would do that. If Manny gets 400, what is Juan Soto going to get? Who is the favorite to win the National League MVP this year? He is 4 years younger than Manny. Manny's going to set the bar. Ohtani's coming after Manny. What's Soto going to get? Right? Like, you can see why Soto is in no rush to sign an extension with the Padres. We don't even know if there's been talks with Soto, but Manny's getting 400 from someone. What is Soto going to get? 500? He's not going to be asking for just 400. Yeah, match Manny and I'm fine. He's 4 years younger. And what if he has 2 MVP caliber seasons before he hits free agency, right? That seems like 500 is not out of the question. So do you want the Padres paying 500 million for Soto, or do you want them paying 400 for Manny and Ohtani, who can do both? There's already been reporters talking about maybe Ohtani gets $500 million when he hits free agency after this season. Would you rather give Ohtani 500 million? Would you rather give Manny 400 million? Right? I think Ohtani can hit the $400 million mark. I don't know about 500, but I think it will at least be 400 million. It's going to be massive. We've never seen a talent like this hit free agency in this era of big spending, right? So Manny is going to cost the least amount of money, I think, among the 3 players, Manny, Ohtani, and Soto. There are advantages to having Soto over Manny. There's advantages to having Ohtani over Manny. But which one? Which of the 3? I want 2 of the 3, but if we can only have 1, which of the 3 are you having? I lean towards Soto. Like, if Manny has to walk, like I was saying yesterday, I don't think it's the end of the world. I would love to have Manny be a Padre for the rest of his career and go into Cooperstown with the Padre hat on. But if we get the best 5 years of Manny Machado's career, like if he has an MVP year this year and he walks and we win a World Series, all right. I'm going to be really happy that we got to see Manny Machado in a Padres uniform for 5 of his prime years. Right? The Padres don't want to give him 400. Okay. I think if they're saying Manny's a priority, I think their asking price needs to be bigger than not their asking price. I think they need to be offering Manny more than 255. They need to be offering Manny at least 300. If they're saying he's a priority, they don't need to bow down to Manny and say, "Okay, here's 400. We're so scared of you leaving, but you got to offer at least 300." If you say he's a priority, start trying to meet him in the middle. You knew 255 is not going to get it done. Not even close to get it. That was not going to be even close to getting it done. You know? So they got to try more. If he's actually a priority, then they got to show it. If he's not, then he's not. Then don't make other offers. You know, go after Soto. Start making offers to Soto. You know, um, and getting back to the Manny thing, if Manny walks, not the end of the world. Look, they brought in Bogarts, and that is insurance. I didn't think the Padres viewed it as insurance. I thought that they really want to bring back Manny, and maybe they do. And this is just the starting point. But Manny, the deadline for the extension, self-imposed deadline from Manny, is already gone. That was on Thursday. It's Sunday. Um, I said yesterday that if the Padres offer him a ton of money, I don't think he's going to say, "Well, no, the deadline's already passed. Sorry, I'm not signing it." I think the money talks, but I mean, the Padres need to definitely offer a lot more money if they want Manny here. Again, I'm not saying they need to offer 400, but they need to offer way more than 255. Like that is a low ball offer, like I said yesterday. Total low ball offer. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Bogart. So you can move Bogarts to third if Manny walks. You can have Ha-Seong Kim play short. You can have Crony play second. You can have Carpenter at first or bring in another first baseman. When Merrill comes up, you can have Merrill play short or Merrill play second. Kim would be cheaper to extend, obviously. You could bring in Matt Chapman in free agency, who will cost less money if you want him to play third base and Bogart still play shortstop in 2024. And you'll have Soto in the outfield, Tatis in the outfield, and Grisham maybe still in the outfield in 2024. That's not the end of the world to have Manny leave, right? If Soto leaves, what are you doing, right? If they have Manny, that's great. You can keep Tatis in the outfield, but what are you doing with what are you doing there in the outfield? Who's going to be playing? Who's that superstar in the outfield, or what? Who's that second superstar in the outfield? If you're having Tatis still be in the outfield, you know they don't have someone as an insurance plan if Soto leaves, right? Tatis is playing with Soto in the outfield, and there probably is another um, free agent to be. I haven't looked at the 2024 free agents that would cost less, and he could replace Soto. But I think it makes more sense, like insurance wise, just guys that are on the roster that you could have fill in or replace guys at different positions. It makes more sense for the Padres to extend Soto to keep a solid outfield there than to extend Manny and let Soto walk. What are you doing there in the outfield? Where in the infield, you can move pieces around. Bogarts can go play third. Kim can play short. Merrill could play short when he comes up. Crony could go back to second. You could bring in a first baseman or have Carpenter play first. Because I think his contract is, let me double check. I think his contract, there's an option for 2024. That Carpenter contract. Yeah, 2 years, 12 mil. Oh, it's a player option 2024. So he can opt out after next year. So maybe the Padres would have to give him a raise. Um, Let me look actually while I'm on Spot Track. I'm going to look up the free agents for next year. So Matt Chapman, let's say they don't sign Manny, they can bring in Matt Chapman. If I look at the free agents after the 2024 season, so let me go to outfielders scheduled to be a free agent the same offseason as Soto. Conforto, Bellinger, Haniger, or maybe that's the wrong offseason. Yeah, 2024. Where's Soto? Soto's not showing up. I don't know why Soto's not showing up. Oh, okay, there he is. Okay. I should probably show you guys this on my screen. So Soto's there. This is after 2024. The guys I'm seeing is like Max Kepler, Conforto, Bellinger. Like it's a big step down from Juan Soto, right? And Soto's younger, but again, people that want Manny to walk because he's being greedy. Well, Soto's going to cost probably 500 million. All right, I'm going to get to the chat here. But first, this episode is sponsored by Gaglione Bros famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries. Their main location is on Friars Road, and you can visit gaglionebros.com for their menu and contact information. You can also enjoy their cheesesteaks and fries at Petco Park and inside Snapdragon Stadium. All right, back to the chat here. If you want to join the show, give your thoughts on today's news, feel free to do so. Click that link in the chat. I believe it's pinned in the chat on YouTube. Thank you to the podcast listeners. And if you're on here on replay, live, I encourage you to subscribe on YouTube and turn the notifications on so you don't miss when I go live. And so you can participate in these live streams. Here we go. The GOAT says, I think Manny will be the odd man out. Soto will get an extension, and the Padres might sign Ohtani next offseason. Well, yeah, like the Padres, they might have the plan of, okay, if Manny wants 400, we're going to let him walk while Bogarts go play third, right? And we'll go all in on Ohtani, who can pitch, who can be a hitter for us. He could replace Manny's production offensively, and he could pitch. Like maybe they want to do that. And we know that Preller loves Ohtani. Like he has not loved a player more, it doesn't seem like, ever than he has loved Shohei Ohtani. SDSU Man 1 says Machado is great, but I'm not sure if he, can I talk correctly? Holy cow. Machado is great, but I'm not sure if even he is worth that. I'd say pay him if he helps the team win the World Series this upcoming season. Of course, he might ask for even more than after. Yeah. Yeah, if he has a great season, then he'll probably ask for more than 400, or he'll just keep the price at 400. Like, even if he has a great season, asking for 400 mil, like Judge had a great season, and he was fine with signing for 360 with the Yankees. He got over 400. The Padres were willing to give him over 400, but he got 360 after having a historic season, right? So I think even if Machado has a great season, 400 is a good price ask for him. Like again, I'm not mad that Manny is asking for this. I think that if he is like if he wants the best talent on the team year in year out while he's with the Padres, he should probably ask for a little less than this, or at least spread it out, not for just 10 years, but get the AAV down. Like he understands what the Padres are doing. He understands the Padres' thought process and giving Bogarts that long of a deal and giving Darvish that long of a deal. So just not asking for 40 million a year is probably better for Manny. But in terms of like the total money, I mean, I'm not mad at him for asking for that. The Padres were willing to give Aaron Judge over $400 million, who hasn't stayed healthy as much as Manny has since 2016 when Judge debuted in the big leagues. So it's definitely Manny's right to ask for this. Tommy says, greedy. How much money do you need in life? Well, I mean, look, Manny's just looking at other guys. The Padres set themselves up for this. They shouldn't be surprised by what Manny's asking for. They set themselves up. They're the ones that were willing to give Judge over 400. They were the ones willing to give Trey over 340. They gave Bogarts money till he's 40, age like 41 season. They set themselves up for Manny to ask for this. So yeah, it's easy for some fans to say, "How much money do you need in life?" Like, we're just trying to get by on minimum wage and all that. But if you're looking at it from Manny's point of view, he's saying Devers just got 330. Judge, who doesn't stay as healthy as I do, he's not on the field as consistently as I do, almost got 400 from you guys. If he was just taking the most money, he would have came to you for over $400 million. I had an MVP season last year, MVP caliber season. Why can't you give me this money? You know, that's what he's looking. He wants the value that he thinks he deserves. He is a top 10 player in baseball right now, I think. And so he wants that type of money. Austin says, "Why are we still believing what Bob Nightengale says?" Well, it's just a report that's out there. And so I'm going to react to it. What do you want me to do? That this is the second reporter in 2 days that has confirmed what the Padres offer was. I know that Nightingale has been wrong and AC has been wrong, but these are interesting reports. This is the biggest story around the Padres right now. Like, I can only we can only sit here and talk about Matt Carpenter arriving at spring training for so long. Like, that's not very interesting, you know? When the guys are playing spring training games and the WBC is happening and the regular season kicks off, yeah, I'm gonna be focused on the team on the field. But when reports come out consecutive days about there was the deadline, it's passed, Padres are $145 million apart. Manny confirmed this to Kevin Acee that the deadline is passed. And he smiled when AC asked him about the offer. It's so I assume that maybe not AC's totally correct, but he's close. They're far off. I'm pretty sure that I can sit here confidently and say that they're far off. Um, so yeah, if you don't want to believe what Bob Nightingale has to say, then don't believe it. But I'm a diehard Padres fan who is uh, sitting here kind of worried about if they're going to be able to keep Manny or not, if they're going to keep him or not. If they sign Soto and don't keep Manny, that's cool. If they sign Ohtani and don't keep Manny, all right, that's cool. But I think they need to get one of the three. So go ahead. Don't believe AC. Don't believe Nightingale. That's you're right. But they are guys that have sources. They know more about this situation than we do. So I'm just reacting to the report. Phil says these are either just startup negotiations or just misinformation being spread. I mean, maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe there's a little misinformation. Maybe it's just the start of negotiations. But according to Manny, this isn't according to Kevin Acee. This is according to Manny Machado. Acee, he was the one that asked Manny about this. Manny confirmed it. The deadline that he had with the Padres to talk is gone. It's passed. He has passed the deadline. Padres have passed the deadline. Thursday was the deadline. So some of it is correct information and some of it is just up there. We don't know if it is correct, but it's 2 reporters in the last 2 days that have said 105 mil added on to the 180. SDSU Man 1 says 350 over 10 years sounds reasonable. Yeah, that's reasonable. 390 mil from Tupac 13, that's fair, okay. Well, if it's 390, then might as well just pay the 400. I think 12 for 350 is fair. 12 for if you want the same as Judge, 12 360, all right, that's fair. If you want more than Judge, okay, I'd do that, but 400, man, that's 40 million a year, I'm not doing that. At least for now. I mean, if he has another great season, then I guess the Padres have to, right? If they really want him. Like we can't change what has happened, right? I know some people are like, well, maybe they just shouldn't have paid Bogarts if they really wanted Manny. But would you rather have had the guarantee of getting Xander Bogarts and then getting probably one of these big three, Otani, Manny, Soto? Or would you rather not have Bogarts on the team right now, not have as good of a chance of winning a World Series as you do right now in 2023, and um, you maybe would extend Manny, right? Maybe Manny wants to go to free agency. And so you don't have Bogarts, you don't have Soto extended, you don't have Manny extended, and maybe you extend Manny. Maybe you keep Manny. But they're guaranteed to have Bogarts long term. They're guaranteed to have Tatis long term, right? I'm fine with them giving that money to Bogarts. Like Seidler, I'm confident that he will get one of the three. I just don't like that the Padres reported offer was 255 when they knew that there's no way that that's was going to be close to getting it done with Manny. Preston says, you guys don't need to believe this. There is a new legit article stating Nightengale is wrong. Manny did not ask for 400. Where's that new article? Who said Nightingale is wrong? Manny did not ask for 400. Where are you getting that? Who said that Manny did not ask for 400? Preston again says, enough of this BS distraction. Let's focus on the season. Well, guys, the season is not starting till March 30th. What do you mean? This is not a distraction. They're not playing even spring training games yet. How is this a distraction? You think the players are distracted by Manny's talks? No, they're not. It's not a distraction. Maybe it's a distraction to us, but it's not a distraction to the team. So let's stop with that narrative. Adrian says, unfortunate to hear if it's true that they are so far apart. Do you think re-signing Soto might be a better deal for the club? I think in terms of like long term, it makes more sense just based on player production, age, probably to extend Soto over Manny. You'll probably get Soto for a lot more years, like 14, 15 years instead of maybe 10, 12 years for Manny. Um, but in terms of like a better deal, like less money, Manny's going to be cheaper than Soto, I think, because Manny's first, right? The market just keeps growing. So you saw Judge get 360. Manny's asking for more than that, right? Soto's going to see what Manny gets. He's going to ask for more than that. He's going to see what Otani gets. He's going to ask for more than that. Like that's just the way it is. So Manny's the best deal, like in terms of like price. Austin says, give him 11 years, 340. Highly doubt he'd deny that. 340 is reasonable too. Yeah. The Padres, if they truly view Manny as a priority, then make it over 400 million. Or not, excuse me, make it over 300 million. Because if you're staying under 300, you're not getting a deal done. Like that's obvious. If you can't tell that that's not obvious, then I don't know what to tell you. If Manny's asking for 400, or let's say he's not, let's say he's asking for like 380. Still, 300 and 380 is a big gap. Like, you have to go higher than 300. I think 12 for 350 that's a good deal. Alex, let me ask you this, Ben. What would your set price on how you want the Padres to give Manny and just let him walk? Like, what would be my final ask, or what's like my best and final offer? I mean, I'm willing to match what the Yankees gave Judge. Like, Judge got 360 from the Yankees, and he's entering this year's age 31 season. Next year, Manny's going to be entering his age 31 season. So just give him the same thing, or give him maybe 361 just so they can say I got more than Judge. I'm willing to do that. 40 million a year, 400. I'm not comfortable doing that. Like, I would have been excited for the Judge. Let's say Judge would have signed with the Padres and he wouldn't have gone back to the Yankees. I would have been excited that Aaron Judge was coming to the Padres, right? You get his prime. He just hit 60 plus bombs, MVP, all that. Like, that would be great. But I wouldn't be excited about the back end of that contract. I know it's like, well, don't worry about the back end. And that's what I said about the Bogarts deal. But paying Bogarts, how much are they paying Bogarts? 280 divided by 11? 25 mil a year is much different than 40 million a year for a 39, 40-year-old, So hopefully you get what I'm trying to say there. CBS 121, let Manny walk, give Soto an extension. Well, again, Soto's going to cost much more than Manny is. So if you're mad at what Manny's asking for, then you're going to be mad at what Soto's asking for, probably. CBS 121 again with the question, can anyone imagine Manny getting 400 somewhere? Yes. The Mets would give Manny 400. I think so. I think the Dodgers would think about offering that. I'm not saying Manny would accept that, but I think the Dodgers would think about offering him that, like make him say no to you. The Giants, I think they would think about it. The Cubs, like there's teams out there that are willing to spend. I don't know how much the Yankees are willing to go, but they have Josh Donaldson right now as like their third baseman, so they could upgrade. So yes, other teams would be willing to offer Manny 400 when they get the free agency. All it takes is one team, like the Padres did with Bogarts. All it takes is one team to just go nuts and make an offer that Manny can't say no to. Mike says Manny opting out is the smart thing to do, looking out for himself first, let the open market set his price, and then it's up to the Padres. Nothing personal, it's business. Yeah, I agree. This isn't personal against the Padres. He wants the fair value. Now, at the beginning of negotiations, right, the club asks for as little, or they try to give as little as they can to the player. The player asks for as much as they can. They ask for the moon, and then usually if an extension is agreed upon, they kind of meet more in the middle. Hopefully that's what happens here. Um, but I mean, the Padres, they have to get closer to Manny's asking price than Manny has to get to the Padres asking price, I think. Again, the Padres did this to themselves by what they were willing to give Judge, what they were willing to give Trey Turner. Manny Ramirez, I don't think this is the actual Manny Ramirez, says pisses me off because I don't see Harper doing this. Well, because it's two different situations. Harper did not have an opt out. He doesn't have an opt out. He has a no trade clause, I think. He doesn't have an opt out. His was what, 13 years, 330? There's no opt out there. Manny, I think for a deal to get done, there had to be an opt-out in there. The Padres had to put an opt-out in that contract, which was smart on Manny's side of things. That was smart on his end because he knew the contract after those 5 years, the market was gonna be much different than what it was 5 years ago. So it was smart for him. I don't I'm not pissed off by what Manny's asking for. I hope that he's willing to go down a little bit, but I understand it based on what the market looks like now. Um, and for the Padres to get the deal done, they had to do the opt-out. They had to include this opt-out. So I'm not mad at the Padres for having the opt-out in, for putting it in and having Manny become a Padre. Like, again, if Manny walks and we got another MVP type season out of him this year and the Padres can go win, like, go walk. That's fine. See you, Manny. Thank you for everything you did here. You gave us 5 of your best years of your career, you know? Um, so the Harper and Manny situations, those are 2 different things. Mike says, every player dreams of being in Manny's situation. It doesn't make him a bad person or not appreciate the Padres. If he's not outrageous, he'll be back. Yeah, I mean, Do you think Harper I mean, he's hurt now, but maybe Harper, looking back at it, he wanted an opt-out in that contract because he's seeing how much guys are being paid now, right? How much money would he get if he came off of an MVP caliber year, you know? Um, yeah, I agree, Mike. A lot of players are dreaming of being in Manny's spot. I think Manny appreciates the Padres. He loves the situation that he's in. He wants the fair value, though. Like his fair value has changed after 5 years. CBS 121 says I'm giving 500 15 years. Well, I'm not doing that. I'm not giving him $500 million a year. Oh, you're talking about Soto? Are you saying Soto 500 for 15? I'd think about that. No, I'm serious. I would think about that. I would take Soto to what? Age 41, 42? That's 33 million a year. Ideally I'd want less than 500 to give to Soto, but I'd be interested in seeing if the Padres like offered like today, they go to Soto in spring training and say, "Here's 515. Take it or leave it." What would he do? You know? And they say, "We're letting Manny go to free agency. We're offering you $500 million. What are you going to say? Yes or no? Take it or leave it." I'd be interested in seeing what he says because there is a risk, right? With Soto playing this out. What if he gets hurt? What if he has a couple down years back to back? You know? So he would think about it. That is a good point. I do see on Twitter that Dennis Lin was writing, I think it was earlier in the week, maybe last week, that Manny was asking for closer. I don't know if he was writing it. Maybe he was on the Darren Smith show. And he was talking about Manny's asking for closer to 40 million than 30. So maybe he's not asking for 40 a year, but it's more than 30 a year. It's probably more than 35 a year. I wouldn't be surprised if he did counter for 10 for 400. Well, yeah, we know the offer for the 105 on top of the 150. We know that's way too low. Yeah, I agree. Why make such a stupid offer? I don't know if I don't know if the Padres like we don't know if the Padres actually made that offer. Did they actually offer 255 to Manny? I hope not. Like that's just stupid. That is a stupid offer. Um, but I don't think that they're willing to go to 400 right now. I think we can say that. And Manny did confirm to AC that the Padres did only make one offer before his deadline, and that deadline was set in December. Adam says, let's be honest here. Judge and Manny aren't the same player. Judge has a career 980 OPS, Manny around 840. That is not the same player. Okay, that's fair. Let me look up their numbers. Judge, it says his career OPS is 977, actually. And then Manny's OPS 898 or 833, excuse me, 833, 977 for Judge. Yeah, that's a big difference. But Manny's on the field more than Judge is, so he has more opportunities to fail, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that Manny, like the Padres should be just handing Manny $400 million, but they should be at least offering him 300. Like that's the starting point here, not 255. The starting point should be 300. Kelly says Pete Alonso's a free agent for 2025. May still need a first baseman by then. Yeah, but I don't know if you want to bank on that happening because Steve Cohen, he has deep pockets, so he might just extend Alonso before then. No, Adam, no, it's not 390. It's 360. Yeah. 40 AAV for Judge. Look, I'm fine with 12 for 350 for Manny. Give him 350. I think that's fair. Alex is saying MLB Trade Rumors is saying the $400 million offer for Manny is false. Where are they saying it's false? Okay, I'm reading the article. It says Manny set the Padres a deadline of February 16th to offer him an extension that would have meant he avoided free agency at the end of 2023. According to Kevin Acee, the Padres made just one offer to Manny 2 days prior to his deadline, offering to tack on an extra 5 years and $105 million to his current deal. That would have taken their total commitment to Machado to 15 for 405 mil. 15 years, 405 million. Machado is planning to opt out of his contract at the end of the season, and combining the remaining value of Machado's contract with this new offer would have equaled to 10 years, 255. Yeah, we know that. According to AC, Machado confirmed in a brief interview that in early December he set the Padres a deadline of February 16th because he wanted to focus on baseball, blah, blah, blah. Machado's interview confirmed that he received one offer, did not confirm the terms reported. I don't see anywhere where they're saying the 400 is wrong. Oh, okay, here it is. Sorry. My bad. That was the wrong one. So this was like just put up there. Latest on the Padres and Manny, a source tells MLB Trade Rumors is Tim Dierkes that the report of Machado seeking a 10-year, $400 million extension is incorrect. It's not known specifically what Machado is seeking, or whether his camp made a counteroffer to the Padres' offer to add 5 years and $105 million to his existing contract. With Machado's February 16th deadline having passed, it seems his impending return to the free agent market will be a storyline throughout this highly anticipated Padres season. Okay, so let's say it's not 400. Okay, the Padres offer was 255. It still needs to be much higher than that. Like, that's my point. Even if it wasn't 400, let's say it was 380. The Padres are asking for 255. They're asked for the extension. They want 255. That's still a huge gap. Let's say it wasn't 255. Let's say it was 280 and Manny wants 380. That's still a big gap, right? The Padres need to be offering at least 300 for Manny for the fans to actually believe like bringing Manny back is a priority. Yeah, I'm seeing it, guys. I'm seeing the MLB Trade Rumors article. Sorry. I'm a little behind on the chat here. Yeah, Alex, thank you for the super chat here. MLB Trade Rumors alleges the reports are fake. Even so, you can't rule out 400 mil as an opening asking offer from Manny. Yeah. I've never heard I've never heard of Tim Dierkes like breaking news before and having sources. So look, let's say he's right. My point is the Padres are nowhere close to where Manny is asking for. Like, I think that's pretty obvious here. And Manny, I think, would get 400 on the open market. So even if he is asking for 400, I'm not mad that he's asking for 400 right out of the gate. SDSU Man 1 says, this may sound crazy, but maybe the Pods deliberately lowballed Manny so he'd play out of his mind in a contract year to take the team all the way, and then the team would pay whatever he was asking. I don't think so. I mean, Manny doesn't seem like someone that will get his contract, and in a year that the Padres are going all in to win a World Series, he's going to slack off because, oh, I already have my contract. That's not who Manny is. Yeah, I don't see that happening. Yeah, let's deliberately piss off our superstar. I don't see that happening. I don't think that's their thought process here. All Dago says trade Machado for Arenado. Okay, well, the Cardinals aren't doing that. They have Arenado on a great contract. Arenado opted in. He was a dummy for doing that, but he opted in. Cardinals are super happy with Arenado. We got some wild takes here, man. Wow. Jaime says trade Tatis, keep Manny or get rid of Manny, take Soto. They're not trading any of these guys. Look, 2023, they're going all in. They're trying to win a World Series this year. They're not trading their best players. Let's stop with that. CBS 121 says, why didn't Preller foresee this before giving Bogarts 280, Darvish 105? I think he was trying to make this team, this current year's team, the best team that he could, and Bogarts was a part of that. And Bogarts was going to take the money. That's a guarantee that you'll have him long term here. He's a great player, and you'll have him locked in here long term for the next decade. And Darvish, you have him They needed starting pitching for the future. Lock him in. Manny, you knew that was going to be harder to lock down than those two. So that's probably why. And again, if they don't have Manny here long term, that's not the end of the world. They're going to have to pay more for Soto, or they're going to have to pay more for Ohtani, but that's not the end of the world. Bogarts can play third. Adam says if Manny is asking for an insane amount of money, he is definitely taking a risk. He had one of his best years last year, so if he doesn't perform up to par this year, he could lose some money. Yeah. I mean, so let's say he's asking for 400 or 380, whatever. Let's say the MLB trade rumors guy is right and it's not 400. He's asking for like 380 and he has a down year. Okay, let's say he hits free agency. He's still going to get like 350 at least, right? In free agency, I think he would get at least 350 from someone. There are teams out there that would love to have Manny Machado in their uniform. So, even if he has a bad year, he's going to get paid. So it's a risk, but how big of a risk is it? Brett says, why trade Tatis when he has the friendliest contract? Yeah, they're not trading Tatis. They're not trading Tatis. All right. Have I missed anything? Because I know you guys pointed out the MLB trade rumors article. I wonder what Manny's asking price was. If it was not 400, then what was it? Sure wasn't anything below 300 like it reportedly the Padres have offered. John, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. I can see a similar situation just like with Judge. Manny comes back after the Mets offer money, but his heart is here in San Diego, or at least I hope money isn't everything for these guys. That's true. But remember last time Manny came here for the money. Like people can say Hosmer and all that. He came here for the money. The Padres were in a much different situation then than they were now. But that argument right there also helps the argument for him staying, right? They're in a much better situation now than they were then. So, look, maybe he stays for less and like Judge stays here for less money, Judge stay with the Yankees for less money. The Yankees are a contender. Padres are a contender. I could see him staying for less money. Like if he went to free agency and the Mets offered 400 and he gets 360, 370 from the Padres and he stays, okay. I could see that happening. But the Padres are not going to bring Manny back for 300 million. It's going to have to be more than that. They're not bringing him back for 255. It's going to have to be more than that. Like that's obvious. Brett says, I want Manny in Cooperstown in an SD cap. I do too, but if the Padres give him a good offer, 350, and he says no, and they just let him go to free agency and he goes somewhere else, and they bring in Ohtani or they bring in Soto, extend Soto, then I'll be happy. I don't think that's the end of the world. All right, I think that's going to do it. Episode, what is it? 342, Talking Friars. Thank you so much for listening on the podcast platforms, watching on YouTube. A much slower paced show today. I wasn't planning on doing it today, but that news came out. So there's refuting reports. Bob Nightengale says 400 million is what Manny is asking for. And then Tim Dierkes of MLB Trade Rumors is saying that it's not 400, but he doesn't know what Manny is countering with. So that's the latest. Thanks for watching or listening. Talk to you later. See ya.